times have we all sang, oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing my dear Redeemer's praise, the glories of my God and King, the triumphs of his grace. And oftentimes so joyous, rendering the popular Christmas song, Hark, the Herald Angels Sing. The writer of the above hymns was said to have averaged 10 poetic lines a day for 50 years, writing 8,989 hymns, 10 times the volume composed by the only other candidate, Isaac Watts, who could conceivably claim to be the world's greatest hymn writer. He composed some of the most memorable and lasting hymns of the Church. Hark! The herald angels sing, and can it be, oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing, love divine, all loves excelling, Jesus, lover of my soul, Christ the Lord is risen today, soldiers of Christ, arise, and rejoice. The Lord is King, and yet he is often referred to as the forgotten Wesley. He is no other person than Charles Wesley. His brother John is considered the organizational genius behind the founding of Methodism. But without the hymns of Charles, the Methodist movement may have gone nowhere. Charles was a younger brother of Methodist founder John Wesley and Anglican cleric Samuel Wesley the Younger, and he became the father of musician Samuel Wesley and grandfather of musician Samuel Sebastian Wesley. Charles Wesley was the 18th of Samuel and Susannah Wesley's 19 children, only 10 lived to maturity. He was born prematurely in December 1707 and appeared dead. He lay silent, wrapped in wool, for weeks. Many hardship plagued Susanna Wesley's life. Charles' mother, as the husband left her and the children over a year, also spending time in jail twice due to his poor financial abilities. Lack of money was a continual struggle for Susanna. Their house was burned down twice during one of the fires. Her son, John, nearly died and had to be rescued from the second-story window. She was the primary source of her children's education. Charles was educated at Oxford University, where his brothers had also studied, and he formed the Holy Club among his fellow students in 1729. John Wesley later joined this group, as did George Whitefield. Charles followed his father and brother into the church in 1735. And he traveled with John to Georgia in America, returning a year later. In 1738 the Wesley brothers had religious experiences. Charles experienced a conversion on the 21st of May, and John had a similar experience in Aldersgate Street just 3 days later. Charles felt renewed strength to spread the gospel to ordinary people, and it was around then that he began to write the poetic hymns for which he would become known. In January 1739, he was appointed as curate to serve at St. Mary's Church, Islington, but was forced to resign when the church wardens objected to his evangelical preaching. Later that same year, finding that they were unwelcome inside parish churches, the Wesley brothers took to preaching to crowds in open fields. They were influenced by George Whitefield, whose open-air preaching was already reaching great numbers of Bristol colliers. From 1740, John and Charles were the joint leaders of the Methodist Revival and evangelized throughout Britain and Ireland. They were opposed by many Anglican clergy, especially when their appointed lay preachers began to preach in parishes without seeking permission. Following a period of illness, after 1756, Charles made no more journeys to distant parts of the country, mainly just moving between Bristol and London. Increasingly in his later years, Charles became the mouthpiece of the so-called Church Methodists. Throughout his adult life, Charles wrote verse, predominantly hymns for use in Methodist meetings. He produced 56 volumes of hymns in 53 years, producing in his lyrics what Brother John called a distinct and full account of scriptural Christianity. The Methodists became known, and sometimes mocked, for their exuberant singing of Charles's hymns. A contemporary observer recorded, "The song of the Methodists is the most beautiful I ever heard. They sing in a proper way, with devotion, serene mind and charm." Charles Wesley quickly earned admiration for his ability to capture universal Christian experience in memorable verse. In the following century, Henry Ward Beecher declared, "I would rather have written that hymn of Wesley's, Jesus, lover of my soul, than to have the fame of all the kings that ever sat on the earth." The compiler of the massive dictionary of hymnology, John Julian, concluded that perhaps, taking quantity and quality into consideration, Charles Wesley was the greatest hymn writer of all ages. While the name of Wesley brothers ring a bell to everyone's ear, the role of Wesley mother can never be overemphasized, because if a passing stranger walking through the rural village of Epworth, England, on any given day between 1700 and 1720 had peered through the window of the home of the rector of the local Anglican church, he might have caught sight of something quite strange. This observer might have seen a woman sitting in a chair with her kitchen apron pulled up over her head while 10 children read, studied, or played all around her. Despite the loss, hardship, and struggle that characterized Susanna Wesley's life with 10 children to cater for, yet she became a woman of immense legacy, largely through the dual virtues of organization and prayer. No wonder 2 of these children grew to shape the course of Christian history and thus change the world. Susanna's household organizational skills are the stuff of legend. She knew from personal experience that quality one-on-one time with a parent is hard to come by in a family with many children, yet powerfully important. So she set a rotating schedule through which each of her children spent an hour with her alone before bedtime on a designated night each week. What is more, she somehow found a way to manage the household and give her large brood of children a world-class education that included both classical and biblical learning. Early in her life, she vowed that she would never spend more time in leisure entertainment than she did in prayer and Bible study. Even amid the most complex and busy years of her life as a mother, she still scheduled 2 hours each day for fellowship with God and time in His Word, and she adhered to that schedule faithfully. The challenge was finding a place of privacy in a house filled to overflowing with children. The commitment of Susanna Wesley is the direct product of the Wesley brothers and their influence in generations and Christian history. Charles Wesley was a prolific hymn writer. Among the collections, hymnals, of Wesley's hymns published in his lifetime were hymns on God's everlasting love, 1741, 1742, hymns on the Lord's Supper, 1745, and short hymns on select passages of the Holy Scriptures, 1762, together with others celebrating the major festivals of the Christian year. His hymns are marked by their strong doctrinal content, a richness of scriptural and literary allusion, and the variety of his metrical and stanza forms. They are considered to have had a significant influence not only on Methodism, but on Christian worship and modern theology as a whole. In the course of his career, Wesley published the words of between 6,500 and 10,000 hymns, many of which are still popular. These include, "Arise, my soul, arise, and can it be that I should gain?" Christ the Lord is risen today, Christ, whose glory fills the skies. Come, O thou traveller unknown, come, thou long expected Jesus. Depth of mercy, can it be, Father? I stretch my hands to thee, hailed the day that sees him rise. Hark! The herald angels sing, Jesus, lover of my soul, Jesus, the name high over all. Lo! He comes with clouds descending, love divine, all loves excelling. Oh, for a heart to praise my God, oh, for 1,000 tongues to sing. Rejoice, the Lord is King, soldiers of Christ, arise, Son of unclouded righteousness, thou hidden source of calm repose, ye servants of God. On his deathbed he sent for the rector of St. Marylebone Parish Church, John Harley, and purportedly told him, Sir, whatever the world may say of me, I have lived, and I die, a member of the Church of England. I pray you to bury me in your churchyard. At the age of 80, he died on the 29th of March 1788, in London. His body was carried to the church by 6 clergymen of the Church of England. A memorial stone to him stands in the gardens in Marylebone High Street, close to his place of burial. If you have been blessed, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment below and give the video a like. Share, turn the notification bell on for more edifying, inspiring and edifying contents. Livingstone's Films, reaching the world with Christ through media.